Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Awakening Your Inner Genius. I am Ken Pearson, and online with me is John Bonzel and Jim Porter, and we are here to teach class tonight. We are on Unit 9, Lesson 34. What we'll do though is we'll take a minute before we start the lesson just to quiet down, to get prepared to do things. I always like to get still, get that quiet moment so you can do what you choose to do. But we'll just take a minute. We'll bring up that beautiful ocean scene that we have stored up there, and just take a minute to unwind. As you go through your day and you're going through life, we wind up. We're busy, we keep going, and it's kind of like winding that clock up. And decentrating or meditating is a way of unwinding that clock and getting out of that thinking brain into that knowing mind is to stop the action left and right. So for me, the best way I do it is I've always found I can't think myself into meditation, but I can desire to be in a quiet state. I can desire stillness. I cannot think myself to stillness, but desire is the key. And we're going to hear about desire in this lesson tonight, how important desire is, and how desire controls gravity. So desire what you want, and it will stand before you, but it will not come to thee without reaching for it with our strong arms. And that's that whole adage: God will work with you, but not for you. And in meditation, that's when we get to work collectively with God. We co-create in meditation. So just take a minute, and I kind of like to close my eyes a little bit, and I really just contemplate desire, and I desire stillness, and that helps me to just shut down that thinking brain and let that sense brain go. Kind of like I talk about daydreaming, almost entering into a daydreaming state where I'm not thinking with my brain. I'm in that knowing mind. So we're going to take 30 seconds here just to desire stillness, just to breathe in and desire oneness with God. And remember that stillness is timeless. So just desire stillness. Just give yourself a minute to desire stillness. And if we could turn the sound up on those waves, that will help you to kind of get into synchronicity, a rhythm of breathing in, breathing out. It is a timeless moment of stillness. There is no time. And then there's a passage in the Divine Iliad that I like to refer to that refers to meditation. It's actually Unit 1 and Unit 2. And it's the process of getting into a meditative state. And it states in there, the glory of thy anointing light descends upon me, and my soul awakens. Thy light is all around me. Thy light shines through me. Thy light encompasses me. I am dissolved in thy light. My light and thy light have become one. I am immersed in thy light. I am in thy light, knowing thy light. And here I say, be thou with me, so that I would never be alone again. Be thou here with me, so that I would never be alone again. All right, let's come on out of that. And when you come out of it, for me, it's like, yeah, I feel like I just came out of a quiet place. And, like the cone of silence in Get Smart, if you're too young or too old, too young, you might not remember that, but I'm sure there's some people that do. But it's like, getting into that cone of silence and learning to shut off this brain, it's a building process. I learned it. It's a skill set. It's something you develop by desire. So let's get into our first lesson here. And we are on page 661.
Yeah, I'm going to make a comment on that because I think that thing that the recitation you just did speaks to this chapter particularly well. It very much harkens to being in that mind and being one with the light. So I think as we go through this, I think if people, I think we have that citation, which people maybe want to listen to at the end that you've done with the video, because it's quite punctuates the point in all of this. Anyway, just a thought.
Oh, no, I appreciate that. And I agree. That salutation of the day it's a real kicker. Boy, you contemplate that. There's just so much in there. As tonight, we're going to read. There's so much to unpack here tonight. Miss Kimberly, my love, is traveling, so she will not be with us tonight. But we have Karen Elkins. Now our camera's on. So hi, Karen.
Hey.
And Kimberly is here in spirit and wishing us a wonderful broadcast. So we will go ahead and knock it out of the park. We don't want to knock it too far because we're going to make her still feel like she's needed. No, I'm just kidding. Boy, where would we be without her? Oh, my God. None of this would be happening. Here we go. All right. So let's get into 661. John, you want to open up that first paragraph there?
I would be glad to, Mr. Pearson. And if I may, I'd like to kind of give an opening statement tonight to our listeners. This unit, this chapter it's like the epitome of all the information the Russells are going to give you. They are going to make it clear to you that you are that omnipresent being. And it's going to be a mindset. It's a change that you have to make within yourself to accept your divinity. And when you do, then the power, the techniques, and the principles that the Russells are going to lay out for us, then they just become so much easier instead of you sitting back thinking, oh man, how am I going to figure this out? How am I going to do that? So the sooner that you can accept your divinity, the easier and the quicker this information and this knowledge will be assimilated within you. Now, having said that, all right, am I supposed to be reading, Mr.
Yes,
Pearson?
you are.
Here we go. Here we go. Simplicity in created effects such as waves and sounds. We will again consider the making of bodies which appear and disappear to live and die from the point of view of simplicity. Let us recall, as heretofore stated, that all that God does is make bodies to manifest his all-knowing. Also, we have stated that it is all you do. So there you go. And just out of the gate, the Russells are saying, listen, what God does and what God knows is the same way and process of you thinking and manifesting what you know. There is no difference in that sequence. So what God can do, you can do. All right.
But
so let me continue.
Wait. But we're his legs in this dimension. We're his do-bugs.
Well, yeah, I guess you could say that. But don't try not to put like a beginning to it, or that you're in stages of that knowing. Just accept that you are that divine being, that divine mind, right? And say, okay, God, I'm ready. Let's go. Let's do this thing together.
Yep.
Right. I think Jesus, Jimmy, this is your area to where you can give us a Jesus quote. What I have done, ye shall also do, but of greater measure. So.
Well, that's not exactly correct, but close enough.
So if Jesus can do it, then anybody can do it.
But, I think what it's really important to say and what you're talking about is we are all capable. And this is what this message is all about and why it's so hard to believe or comprehend, but it's so simply stated that it's you can't argue with it, is that our lives are constructed and made the same way that God creates the universe. Now, God creates the universe in perfect balance and perfect action-reaction sequences and cycles from God's imaginings. Well, we all create our universe. Now, it may not be perfect or imperfect. Some people might have a grander life. Some people might not have a grander life. But the life you have has been created in the same manner in which God creates this universe. That is what we're talking about. So whether you want to have a big life or a little life, that's up to you of how well you work with God in everything you do, whether it's sweeping your floor to making a masterpiece. It's still the same connection. It's the same sense of love. And you know what we're doing here and what this message is about creating a more advanced civilization, for us acknowledging a little more about how we can create. We are creators with God when we're one with God, but we must know our oneness with God. And that's what these lessons are about, is learning that you are one with God and you are creating exactly the same way God's created. Go ahead, John.
You know, there's a point later on in the lesson, and we'll get to it. But when you can accept that, when you are co-creator, right? And then you understand that simple two-way process, and they're going to get into this with the waves and the sound waves and so on. But the point I was trying to make is that once you gain that greater understanding, and towards the end of the lessons, the Russells use the term, you're now a cosmic being. You are cosmic man. You're no longer the man that's coming out of the jungle and trying to find his way, you know, through all the physicalities of the universe. Now you're operating from a knowing standpoint, from a God standpoint. Say, okay. And it's hard, Ken, for people to understand that through desire and gravity, everyone has the power of the universe behind them. Yep. And it's just, I mean, it's different. I mean, 50-year student, and I was reading this again today, twice over, and how I got inspired again by just hearing those words, and to be able to look back and say, you know what, man, I've worked my ass off to get to this point of trying to have an understanding of these principles. So I'm excited for our audience to be able to maybe hear terms and concepts that, you know, they've never heard before, but maybe they can adapt them and incorporate them into their own private lives. So
yeah, and if you got some things going on in your life and it's like, well, my life isn't the way I want it, then we would ask you, well, what have you created in your life that you have wanted? Because that's what you want to copy, right? You don't want to create what you don't want. You want to find out, how do I create what I do want? And that's what these lessons are about, is becoming a true creative force, no longer just a sense being, as John was talking about, living by our primal instincts. Now we're going to live in the cosmic mind and be our cosmic man and woman selves. So anything you want to add to that, Jim or Karen?
Yeah, there was one line I really liked in this. It struck with me. Your action is in the measure of your desire. And I think that one is like, if you really want it, go get it. And I'll help you. Yeah, yes. But I really like that one. And it kind of speaks to even how other people play with you. And, you know, how much action or how much energy or how much whatever they give back to you or with you is a measure of their desire for you, vice versa. So it's kind of an interesting back and forth interplay, just not a one thing. So that was the other one that kind of struck out.
It's just, and I would only illustrate on that. It's important to remember that action needs to be inspired, sort of like an idea is inspired, or an idea for a symphony or a piece of artwork. It's an inspiration. So even again, going back to sweeping the floor, making a masterpiece, it's still the same passion. It's the same inspiration to do things with love, right? I think I was just talking to someone the other day. If I just say I want to be a loving version, God, of the best love I can be, I look at people with kindness. I don't look at people with failings. I say something uplifting instead of downtrodden. It immediately shifts me just trying to come from a position of love. I find sometimes even when I'm reading or doing work, you know, if I get a little stale, I do what Walter Russell talks about. Metaphorically, I open up the door, I kick me out, and I bring God back in. And the way that I do that is I ask God to help me to keep putting love into this project that I'm working on. I'm always making that petition, and that's what you'll hear about in this message. This is about a consistent communion with you and God all the time. And that's why it's a building process, and it's a practicing process. And there is no finish line. There is no graduating. We just keep evolving because it's a creating universe, not a created. Nothing is created. So we are creating our lives all the time. So if you don't like what you got, maybe you should try and do something different, add new knowledge in, and that'll give you different application for your life. And that's what this message is about, is adding new knowledge in. And as John just said, 50 years of doing this, and I'm deeply inspired again one more time by touching this and being so grateful that this has been presented in my life, but not that it's been presented that it makes sense. See, that's the most important thing. If we could carry any message to you people, to people that are in the audience, is this makes sense to us. This is why we're doing this. Not only does it make sense, but there's been so much proof in my life, and I know others' lives that I've seen around me, of the demonstration of what we can be like and how special and powerful each and every one of us can be, and that each of us have that birthright to be all knowing, all present, and all power. We all have a right to tap into that, which we just read about there a little bit. Let's go on to, let's see, can I see her notes there? James, can you bring up Kimberly's stuff to the next page? Let's go down to the next one. Let's see here. Keep going. Keep going. Let's go ahead and Jim, you want to read that? Or Karen, you want to read that yellow highlighted version there?
So that all bodies are transcended through wave vibration, which come and go, give bodies form to thought vibration. Vibration of motion extends from stillness. The heartbeat of the creation is a two-way piston stroke of vibration motion, which extends from the still light of mind. Mind knowing is real, and moving bodies simulate reality. I like the idea that it simulates within that field.
Yes, and if I may, Kenneth,
yes,
to just drive this point home again, okay? You are mind, and you know all things. You just may not be aware that you know all things. But moving bodies, okay, vibration, frequency, moving bodies simulate reality. And I think this is important that we help people understand to not put too much emphasis on the physical. Now, the last lesson we talked about how you can't live in a mind world only, but yet you don't want to be too sense-based that you don't even know that you are mind. You want to try to find that balance, but know that the one begets the other. And so it'll help people who are perhaps maybe too emotional about things. And it would be a good lesson here. I use the term devalue, that, you know, you don't want to put too much emphasis on the physical because it's just a simulation. It's just a hologram out here in 3D. But the idea of it, or what it is manifesting, is still back in mind. An idea never leaves mind. So it will help people to kind of get a grasp on the real world that, wait a minute, now this thing is sitting here, is vibrating at a certain rate, and it gives me an image and I attach a certain value to it. But to not overvalue the physical, put too much emphasis on it, it will really give you peace of mind. And then, Ken, you mentioned many times about, you know, the thoughts in a day. Right. And you were mentioning earlier that you need to concentrate on what you're thinking, because once you put that thought out there, it's coming home. So people that are unhappy and they're not secure, or they're fearful and doubtful, nervous, whatever. Well, every time that you have those thoughts, those thought patterns, they're just coming right back to you. They're reflecting exactly that which is within you. So my point is, so if you don't like what you see, then change your thinking. And how you change your thinking is, it's either put on a beautiful piece of music or pick up a book, something to change your thought patterns into a more positive, a more beautiful, more uplifting type thing. So anyway.
Yes, I'll tell you what, let's go to 663. And John, why don't you read, since you were just coming from there, that paragraph there, the divided and the undivided. I think you were just referencing that, and that's a good place
All
to
right.
start.
It'd be my pleasure. The divided and the undivided. Before continuing to construct the sound body for a musical note tone, we will give you a thought to transform into knowing by prolonged meditation. So here we go. Consider the familiar motion picture. You know that every expression of life on that screen is motion only. All forms of bodies and all sounds and actions of bodies are but the seeming, key word, seeming motion of light waves, which have been projected from a still point of rest to simulate motion. So there we have it again, to simulate motion.
Keyword simulate. I really needs to stick out. It's simulated. It's like a reflection in the mirror. It's not real. It's just a reflection. It's a simulation.
You guys, I just got to keep saying, I get that it's not real in the sense that we're playing a play, but we still have a meat suit and we still have a vibrational construct of which we've been gifted to actually physically play out the mind thoughts. And I don't want to underestimate the value of creating a school or the value of creating something beautiful or creating a sculpture and presenting it. I mean, that's what Walter Russell did. Why bother be here otherwise? So I think we are a solidified construct within this matrix. And yes, it's a play. And I agree with you. You don't like it, switch it, because it's like you're like the TV set. Just imagine you're it. Change the channel, change the thing. But we still been gifted this, I'm going to say, even sensational body to experience that God self of ecstasy and ecstaticness. So I don't want to underplay that like it's just a film. Well, otherwise, why are we here?
Nobody's underplaying it. I don't think that was the intention, but I think if we finish this paragraph, it'll explain a lot of what you're talking about.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and finish that up there, Johnny.
All right. We'll move down here. You know also that what seems like motion is due to a very rapid succession of still pictures thrown upon the screen, one at a time, so rapidly that the eye does not detect any single picture before the next one of a slightly changed pattern is projected. Neither do you detect the black gap which divides each picture where nothing is. If the projection machine were slowed down very materially, your sense of sight would detect each separate picture and the gap between. Likewise, your sense of hearing would detect an interval of silence between each sound, just as you can detect an interval of silence between the explosions of a Gatling gun. So there you have it.
That reminds me of film clip.
Go ahead.
No, if I think of Ken being in the film business, it's like a film clip. You see the frames, and in between each frame, there's a little black space.
There you go.
Yes. So let's just continue that example, Karen. It's lovely. So if we had that strip, right, that film strip and those images,
yeah,
and you see them in succession. So when we hold them up and we look at them individually, it's no big deal. But we put them on that reel and then we speed them up.
Yep.
And we speed them up fast enough that it seems to be a continuous picture.
Right.
Right. And so that's the illusion. So we have stillness being projected outward, and that every time that projection comes out, there's a black gap, and that black gap is silence. That black gap is God, right?
Yep.
It's just a progression. So, but if you understand, and Karen, I will say this to your comment. I'm not trying to diminish in any way, sense, or form the material world and the beauty that is created.
Oh, it's amazing.
Trying to help our audience and those understand that behind all of that is the creator, is God, is mind, which you are.
Which is
everyone is. And then you go, okay, well, maybe I'll create this today, or maybe I'll do that today. And you do it in a fashion that's masterful. And it's from a knowing standpoint instead of you just kind of maybe stumbling on something. And I think Leo had the best quote of all in this regard. You got two choices. You can live either a purposeful life or you can live a purposeless life. So the person that has no idea of how the universe works, or how things come into being and how they disappear, and what human relations truly are, and so on. And but anyway, yes, I just wanted to let you know, I'm not diminishing the physical, but it helps to know and to understand that where that comes from.
I think it's a good idea to diminish the physical because of the fact of what we're really reaching for is we're caught up in this illusion that we're real, right? Let's take that slide of film and take that black strip, right? And then you've got the imposed image on the clear strip, the color image. That color image is a steel frame. It doesn't move. It's a steel image. But if you think about that black image that separates the next image coming along, within that black image is the possibility of any image. Within the image that's there, there's only possibility of one image, right? So it's an illusion. The power is not in that single frame. The power is in the separation of those frames. That's where all the concepts lie. That's where our ideas all in one place. It's in that silence. It's in the stillness. It's not in the motion. And remember, when you project a piece of film through a camera, you project it in reverse. It inverts as it hits the screen. So it's, again, another illusion. The left is on the right and the right is on the left when it's first projected. When it hits the screen, everything comes back to right being on the right and left being on the left. So again, it's inverse. The key to this, and the reason for that is that where we want to live and where we must exist is in both worlds, not just one or the other. But what most of us, and I know I can speak for myself, for so many years was I caught up. And can I get caught up in the sense world of concern, worry, doubt, fear, insecurity? Now, I've been given tools and I've lived a long enough time on a path where I've been able to treat those things through awareness. But the reality of it is that I am defending myself against a negative fault-finding mind when the world that I live in is a world I don't want to live in. And it becomes a world I don't want to live in as we're teaching and as we're talking about through the thoughts that I'm harboring. So if you don't like what you're thinking, then change your thought. If you want to have new thoughts, this is what we're doing with this lessons, is we're incorporating the abilities to have new concepts, to put new thoughts that are empowering thoughts that strengthen you, to help you know your divinity and that there is no limit to what you're capable of accomplishing on this planet, and you will accomplish and have accomplished. So let's go. Jim, you got anything you want to say on that? You're muted,
James.
I said that was impressive, Ken.
Wow. Man, Ken, you impress?
I like what he's got to say. I think Jim has a lot to say. I really have to say, man. He is one deep cat. That was good stuff there, Jim. All right, so let's go on to 664. Jim, why don't you read that first paragraph there, and then we'll have Karen read the next one after that.
In order to increase your comprehension of the continual inner workings between the divided universe and the undivided universe, and of the impossibility of dividing the undivided, and also for clarifying your comprehension of the illusion which makes it seem possible to divide the undivided, imagine the silent harp string as an interval of silence between two musical sounds, and relate that effect to the black gap between sequences of motion pictures, and also in the silent intervals between explosions of a Gatling gun. Didn't we just read
James,
that?
Hold on one second. James, do you have 665 image up there with the silent string, the harp string? Yeah, it'd be the next page, but you can, just, so that's what he's talking about there is we're relating that steel image, the film imaging to a harp string, right? And what Jim was just saying. Go ahead, Jim.
You want me to read that?
No, read the next paragraph.
Okay. Take note.
I just wanted to have them a reference to what we're talking to.
Right. Take note that there is no sound at all on the equator, which is the motionless harp string.
So let's go back to that image. Let's go back to that image real quick. right? And it seems logical, but there it is. There in the top left-hand corner, it's telling you that's the silent harp string. And what the beauty of that harp string, as we'll come on further in this lesson, is how powerful that one string can be. But that's the power is in the silence. The power is in the stillness. But when you look at that harp string and you think of a sound of a harp, you can start to hear the plucking of the sounds in your mind. That's your knowing mind hearing that. It's not your sensing mind. That's your knowing mind that can hear the sound of that harp without any harp being played in front of you. So go ahead, Jim. You want to go ahead and finish that one up?
If you don't, I'll read it because I have it on my screen. Okay, go ahead. I was going to make it easy for you guys.
No, go ahead, Karen. That's a good idea. That's a great idea. Go ahead and read that.
Go back. Yeah, show it and I can read it. It says the equator is an area of silence, unbroken, undivided. Sound takes place only upon each side of its equator of silence, where there is no motion on each side and no motion at the divided equator. So it says, if you fully comprehend what you have just been told, you will fully comprehend the relationship of the divided universe of motion, or forever repeats its sequence of motion to create illusion, to the undivided universe of stillness from which these sequence of motion are projected.
Okay, go down to the next paragraph there, Karen, and go ahead and read from there. The supremacy.
You want the blue one or just with the parentheses?
The supremacy.
The supremacy of man is dependent upon the measure of his ability to live knowingly in the undivided universe, mind universe. The master makes us the divided universe of sense matter as he wills, or dismisses it from his consciousness when
keep going. Yep,
keep going. You become the master of it. It will master you. So I guess what I'm seeing there is
keep reading. Go ahead and finish that paragraph, and then you can share on that, please.
All right. The greatest aim of your life should be freedom from matter and to be able to control it, which also means the control of gravity. That is why we stress the mechanics of the divided universe of the sense matter, which has made man its slave for ages. In order that knowing man can transcend matter and become its master instead of its slave. For this reason, you must know that the mechanics of it until it is automatic in you. The small effort of study you give to the knowing of this principle in your heart is more than priceless to you.
Can we go back to the? You still
Let's
have.
let Karen share on that, Jim, and then you can.
No, it's okay. I think it kind of. Go ahead, Jim. I'm good.
Okay.
If you look at the chart again, which is still on my screen, you'll notice down there you are, and this is what John's been saying and Ken's been saying since the beginning of this lesson. You are the silence. The sound vibrations are your body. But you are always mind, silent within the interaction of the wave cycles of your body. What happens is many people get lost, as Ken pointed out very well, thinking that they are the wave cycles of the body and not the silence and stillness lies between them. And that's perfectly all right. That's part of the evolution and the awakening into your godhood, your divinity. But that chart shows it beautifully, that the difference between you at silence and
Jim,
the body you dwell in.
Read the next paragraph, the second paragraph down, likewise.
Wait, John's got a thought, and then I have a thought. Because I think there's a picture in my head that shows up with this, which I think is really cool.
But I wanted to just kind of give our audience three different examples of the same principle here. So now you see the silent harp string, figure 23 at the top left there, and you come down, and then you see that spiral nebula at the top. And when that spiral nebula rises up, and once it reaches 90 degrees to the plane there, to the zero, all right, that's where sound is. And so there's a buildup to sound, and then there's a division of that sound back to silence, and that sequence repeats itself. So we'll say with a harp string, we'll just say with the key of E, so it's going to vibrate at a certain vibration, a certain frequency, and they can put a numerical figure next to that hertz, right? So it's living and dying X number of thousand times in a second. So then let's back it up to let's say, the average human being, our bodies, right? So we kind of reach 90 degrees at 50, and from there we're unwinding back to the zero. So we'll just say 80, 90 years is the average sequence between the divided and the undivided. And then Russell's later on in this lesson, then they give you a nebula. And it takes a nebula billions of years just to go from being flat on that line to 90 degrees.
Let's not try and get too far ahead in the lesson there, big guy.
Okay, so
go ahead.
Go ahead, Karen. What do you got?
I wanted to go back to the image for a second. Can you do that, James? So I want, if you imagine you look at the very bottom row where it says sound wave, imagine a head in that space where it says sound. And you've got two ears, and the top is where you connect to God. And then here's where you're processing it all. So in that wave is a silence of mind that you can tap into, where you can kind of hear the voice and hear the voice. What people don't know is the hair on your head is an antenna. So you've got hair follicles in your ears, you've got them in your nose, you've got them on your eyelashes. All of these stimulate the vibration. So Deborah was asking about the heartstrings. Those are actually some of those heartstrings, just like the tendons in your body, are these strings that are being played by the mechanics of yourself. So all of those things are moving all the time, informing you. So hair is literally an antenna, and you can, if you go to my magazine, I have a whole issue that's free on the hair, and it will show you how it works as a wave and a particle and crystallizes form into your self. That's how it informs you through the crystalline structure. It's like the light matrix of God, literally talking through through you through that way. But don't forget that all these hair follicles and every part of your body are like those little strings playing you.
Karen, also, was it Deb? I don't have her statement in front of me. What is its thought?
Strikes the harp string.
Does stillness, but it's the action behind the thought that gives us the sound, the body.
Yeah, but it vibrates, and that's where
you take an action to make it vibrate. You can sit in front of a piano all day long and think about the vibrating strings, but until you strike a note,
that's right. That thought will not strike that harp string, not at all.
All right,
motivate the body to strike it, but the body must strike the harp string.
Right. So when you hear it, you feel it, you sense it, it starts to move. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to decipher it.
All right, that's good. Let's get back to the paragraph here. 666. Let's read. Jim, why don't you read the one that says likewise?
Where are you at?
Yeah.
666. Okay. Second paragraph.
Likewise, that is the reason why we are taking this simple example of a harp string to demonstrate how a living, dying body emerges from the seeming nothingness of space to manifest life and disappears into it to manifest the stillness of death. The sound which emerges from the silent harp string is as much a physical body as your body is. It is a series of light waves, just as your body is a series of light waves. The sound issuing from one plucking of a harp string may have hundreds of separate lives, all reincarnations of each other in a few seconds of time. The fact that your present body has a time cycle of 80 or more years instead of 1,000 or 1,000 of 1,000 of a second makes you feel your body is a very different form of different from a body like the sound of the harp string. And that fact makes you lose all sense of cosmic perspective. You know, as a scientific fact, that a body of the sound of a steam whistle lives, dies, and lives again 1,000 times in 1 second. But you have much confusion in comprehending the inevitability of your own more lengthy repetition of body.
Okay, James, you want to share on that?
James, you mean me?
Jim, yeah, you're the only James on here.
Well, it's beautifully.
I
It's
forgot
beautiful.
big guy James behind
There's
the scenes.
there's
There
a
you
James
go. There you
in the
go.
back.
There is.
Yes, I was referring to you, James. Jim Porter. Jim, I'll call you Jim from now on.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way of putting it. And that pretty much covered what all of us were talking about at every point of it.
Yeah.
That bodies exist through desire, and that desire is born in idea, which is what we are. We are desire and idea manifesting bodies. And Karen's 100% right. I take great joy and glory every day in waking up to the beauty of this planet and this world I'm living on. I love the creation that we're co-creators with. I think
But
it's
you're
my-
losing your hair up top, so I don't know how much you're vibrating up top there, big guy with that antenna, man.
Well, you know.
We're decentrating. We're the only
Yes, we're
we're
reflowing.
losing our hair.
All right, 667.
As long as I don't lose my mind, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
667, second paragraph. Karen, why don't you read that?
667 second. As one steps, that one? Into
No,
the
the second paragraph, one below that. Paragraph is an indentation.
you
There
think.
you go.
You think of these thousands of bodies as vibrations, yet you would not think of your present life as but one vibration of millions with ages of reincarnations have repeated in you. Want me to keep going?
Yep, go ahead, keep going.
We would like to have you begin to think of your body that way, and as the time manifest of an idea which is eternal and endless. Evaluate your keep going.
Yep.
Evaluate your consciousness to the level of full awareness of yourself as a universal presence, the universal being, rather than thinking of yourself as a body which has a name and an address and a personality.
And that kind of goes back to what John was talking about when it comes back to seeing yourself as universal instead of as an individual unit. The idea of this message is to separate any individuality to a collectiveness of oneness. We are all one. And how do we become that? By trying to desire to seek that in all things that we do and everybody we interact with. We remember we're one with each other. That to me is something that I will have go through my consciousness when I'm talking to people. I will ask God to help me to recognize the oneness in me is the same oneness in them, whoever it is that I'm talking to. So in terms of that, that's why we're breaking down these harp strings and realizing that the harp string has millions, thousands of bodies per second, and a tenth of a second. And that same principle is, as John was talking about, is about our lifespan. Time is the only difference of intervals. But if you take time and do you think God wears a watch? You see, so time is a man concept. It's not a concept of the cosmos. Time is for the purpose of motion and measuring motion. That's all it's there for, sort of like the seasons. Anybody else want to share on those two paragraphs?
Yeah, I'd like to cover this sequence with our audience. I made these notes. Look at God as being the whole. So when God creates and when God thinks ideas into being, it's a gift to the whole play of creation. But man, the individual man who thinks of himself as individual and separate and apart from God, his thinking is for the benefit of self. But these lessons here, and especially this one, is helping one transform from individual thinking to thinking as the whole, so that the whole can benefit, because you are the whole. And Ken, you probably know this in some of your quotes, but there are no two individual things in the universe. There is only one thing, and that is mind, and that is God. So the sooner you can accept that fact, that there's not multiples of anything, there's only one mind, and you are that one mind, and all the power and all the presence and all the knowing in that mind is yours. You just have to awaken to that fact. And that's a hard task, all right? You just don't wake up one day and say, hey, God, how's it going? Hey,
That's
God,
a
how's
good
it going
one.
with you?
I love it. And hey, we're going to take a break now. We've went a little bit beyond, so we'll take a 3-minute break now. That was really good. We'll come back and get some more of this lesson in. And everybody's got a lot to think about in the simplicity of a harp string,
Ooh,
along
look
with
at that.
reincarnation that really correlates to help you see how many bodies you've had and will have, and that the bodies are transcendent. Let's go ahead and go to break.
All right. See you in 3.
Okay. All right. I think we're done. We are back. All of us except for Mr. Porter.
You'll be back. You'll be back.
We'll just start bad mouthing him. He'll come back.
You know, that picture that was up during the screen, it's kind of like we know that Walter Russell's geometry starts with the cube. And we know that he talks, it says it's a cube/sphere is what it is. So when it starts rotating your mind starts spinning its wheels. You can see on those corner of the wall, it reflects points of light and manifests and radiate out. James, you know what I'm talking about? You want to go back and put that break image up and you can see what that means. That's the mind of the matrix right there. So imagine that wheel is your mind spinning, creating a reflection of what it's thinking in a particular paradigm. And then what you see is a reflection in the mirror of what it is that you are sort of projecting out there in the universe. It's a way of
There you
thinking.
go, Ken. That's how
Bearing
you're
in mind that knowing has no motion, just like silence has no motion. Stillness has no motion. Remember that? Mind is motionless and stillness, right? So
Yes.
that's thinking. We're talking about thinking, not knowing. All right. So 667, last paragraph. Jim, you want to read that?
I get the mind is that, but when our mind is moving is what I said. You know, we have the duality within the matrix of how things move and how the galaxies spin. So there is still motion in making
Is
and
there any motion in stillness?
no, we weren't talking about the stillness.
Yeah, but when you said that when mind is moving and when
He
mind
said
is spinning,
mind is moving. Yeah,
mind doesn't move.
doesn't move.
How does the matrix say, hey, I've got those spinning wheels going on inside of me?
That's called duality, compression, expansion. That's the pistons. Think of the seesaw.
I know, but that's still moving.
Okay.
That's still creating
Now, let me ask you this: when you look at the seesaw and you do that, is that middle part moving or is it still?
No, the middle part's not moving. I totally get that.
Okay, so that's stillness. That's
I know,
knowing.
but then when things start to vibrate, they do the seesaw.
That's an illusion, right? That's the reflection in the mirror. It's just an illusion. It's simulated. Remember, you said it. It's a simulation. That's all it is a simulation.
But it is a functional and purposeful illusion.
No one said it wasn't purposeful or functional. I didn't hear anybody say that. Just said it was a simulation that mind doesn't move. There's no sound in silence and there's no motion in stillness. It just is not possible. That's kind of what we're illustrating here, guys. All right. 667, last paragraph there. John, you want to read that?
Absolutely.
Take it all the way through to the end of the one on 668.
Okay. As awareness of being in you unfolds, the sense of individuality will disappear, just as one tone of a harp string loses its separateness in the wholeness of the master symphony. That is the way cosmic man of tomorrow will think of himself. That is the way you should think of yourself. When you think of yourself as one individual, as one individual unit of creation, you are but that one unit, struggling for survival and for self-interest among the countless other individual units. When you think that way, you are weak, for your desires are self-centered, and the world will not enrich you with its glory nor its bounty, for you are not enriching it. When your desires are for the whole, and when you know that you are the whole, then only are you strong. A new race of men is coming into being. A race of men who will be strong through having learned how to lose their bodies to find their souls in the universal soul. There's pretty powerful stuff right there, Mr. Pearson.
All right, what you got?
So
what's that
before
mean?
Before we went on the break, I covered that. God, the whole, you, the individual, you need to make that transformation from the individual to you, the whole. And then life changes. Then your perspective on life changes. And then you start thinking inwardly and cosmically. And I love that statement, Brother Russell's, and I don't mean to belabor this, but I just love that statement. A new race of cosmic man. And all of you on this panel, or all of us on this panel, and all of those that are listening and joining us, you are the beginnings and the making of that new race of cosmic man. And so there's only a certain percentage of us out here, but that's okay, right? You got to start somewhere. I've been hitting this thing for 50 years. I don't plan stopping anytime soon, but
right.
I'm glad to sit here and be able to say, have that understanding that why we all do this.
Okay.
You know, do we have better things to do in life? I don't know if we got better things to do, but in choosing to help, because I struggled with this time and time again. You know, the Russells were commanded to deliver this message, and that was their sole purpose on this planet, this incarnation. And they did. They did it beautifully. So that's where we as individuals, if we choose to accept, our role as legionnaires of this message. Then you want to do it lovingly, and you want to give it to humanity to the best of our understanding. And collectively, we'll move this planet along. Maybe we can give to that love state that everybody talks about.
You guys,
Where there's joy and peace.
we have a question from Deborah. You want me to read it? You guys can address it. So if we divide the undivided, okay. So if we divide the undivided, would that action and the subsequent reaction cancel each other out, making it impossible to divide the undivided?
Amen.
Well,
100%.
All right. I would add a little something to that. You can't divide the undivided. Mind is never divided. It's a simulation.
Yes,
it's a simulation, two-way simulation of dividing the undivided. Remember, nothing ever leaves mind. So the idea is projected onto the cinema of creation in that two-way sequence.
Well, she made it clear in the end of her sentence. She understands that you cannot divide the undivided. It's the illusion of division, and she's dead on. Yes, we can create the illusion of division, and in the illusion of a thought or that division, we must hold on to the fact that every thought and every action and every individual has that divinity undivided in them. That's becoming cosmic man, and I think she's dead on with that question.
You know, it strikes me, which makes me kind of have a giggle. It makes me think he has multiple personalities. And he says, we're all players in his play, and he's just kind of like figuring himself out from multiple perspectives.
Well, I'll give you guys in the audience something to think about how we're all one. And is where is the center of your universe? If you think about it, where is the center of all of our universes in the same place?
What's within ourselves?
That's right. We all center the universe. We all are universal. We all are the center of the universe. That's what makes us all one.
I would like to make a comment on Karen's comment. So I'll demonstrate. I'm going to look over my shoulder. I'm going to kind of look up and out. I'm going to say, God, forgive her, for she knows not what she does.
And I, you know what I always do when someone does that, Karen? I always turn around and go, is God up on the ceiling? I got to climb up on the ceiling to get to God? When you go to church and you go, God, be with me, I'm always thinking, man, which tile is God on? Because I got to get up there.
Right.
I got to get closer to God.
Yes.
But
wherever God is.
It's like, oh my God.
Whoever he is at that moment, it's a little cosmic humor.
There you go. But if God is centering us, then I don't have to look anywhere other than what we've all been told, but within. The kingdom of heaven lies within, because the center of the universe is within each and every one of us, centering us. That is where the center of the universe is. We all radiate at 360 degrees of projection or perception, no matter what. We all come from that still center.
I got another visual. And I think it's a really good one. And what came to me as Mr. Bunzel was talking is that we actually live in a crystalline palace. And as we live in this crystalline palace, and we're crystallized into form, and we're made of fractals, which is the prism of light, which is the one light that comes out. And it kind of explains how we're one. We're all piece of the fractal, and within one thing is everything within one drop. So what in the drop of an ocean is the whole ocean. So that's the fractal nature. So when you understand it from that perspective, but I love the idea of the crystalline matrix. And that's exactly what we're living in.
Would you prefer that we reference each other as fractals?
Yeah, we're all fractals, man.
That's right.
That's the reality of life. How many fractals are there, Karen? How many fractals are there? All right. 669. Let's do the.
I think Jim would like to say something. The problem is he's been muted again.
Let's put it on the third paragraph. 669.
I did it to myself because the dog.
Okay.
669, third paragraph. Who'd like to read it?
Third, 1, 2, 3. Is that actions?
Yes.
Actions are necessary to give physical bodies to mind a desire. See, I said you gotta move. I did say that, right?
Yes.
The desire, big desire, must precede the action, but the thought body of mind desire can never have a physical body without being followed by physical action. If your action is in balance with your desire, the action will also be. Likewise, if your desire is a majestic measure of your action, it is in the measure of your desire. You will produce a material body of majestic measure. You cannot help doing it so, for reaction to your action is as certain as to be the image of your majestic desire as the day follows night.
Wow.
Okay.
So, Ken, I'll jump in here without you asking.
All right.
So, the point here that the Russells are making is that you have a choice in your thinking. And it can be on the micro level, it can be on the macro level. And the point is that whatever level it is and in between is what will be manifested. So remember, God's 4.5 swings of the cosmic pendulum are guaranteed. Your 4.5 is up to you. So if your thinking and your ideas are majestic, then God will bring that majestic idea ever closer to you as you work ever closer to it. So that's my take, and I'm going to stick to it.
Yeah, man. You know how many great ideas never got manifested because nobody took the action to follow up the idea. Well, John and I were talking about that a little earlier on a project that we're working on. Is that, you know, but at the same time as we're learning, we want to make sure that the concept is clear and concise, so that the actions you're taking are clear and concise, as opposed to nebulous and taking a shot in the dark and spending a bunch of time experimenting. That's why it's so important to see it internally as clear as you can. As Nikola Tesla said, thought experiments, which I think is a great term. He would produce thought experiments and his ideas to manifest that idea, as Walter Russell and Lael Russell talk about all the time. You must see it in its majestic measure. For it to be majestic, you must act in that same majestic measure. They must go hand in hand. So it's so important to realize there are no limitations. We all have the same capacity. And you know, the most important thing to me that I realized as I began this journey is God knows exactly where I'm at and what I'm capable of, and will never ask more of me than I'm capable of giving. So all I need to do is give 100%, give my best to whatever it is I'm doing, and I'm in accordance with God's laws. And if you keep giving those things your best, that reaction swing will be in the same alignment as the perfection as God's 4.5 octave swing that comes before, that precedes your action, or post your action, whichever it would.
Yeah.
Post is usually post action.
I'll give you an example of that. Is think about an engineer putting together a set of blueprints for a building, whether it's a commercial building or whether it's a home or whatever. Now, can you imagine him, who already has this concept finished in his mind of what the building's going to look like, how many floors, windows, doors, the whole 9 yards? But if he never wrote it down in a form, in a blueprint form that the contractors and the workers could build from that image, you would have total chaos, because those workers and those in between, they didn't form that concept. They don't know what the hell the guy's thinking, right? And you can't just describe something to somebody and say, oh yeah, I'll do it this way. So I just wanted to try to give a living, working example of these principles that's how it's applied in life.
All right, then let's did we do 669 last paragraph? No, let's read that one. That was we just read the one preceding that. So who'd like to read that? Jim, you want to read that?
If you have allowed this idea to sink into your soul until you know it, not just believe it, you will now be ready to comprehend another modification of this wonderful premise of our father, mother now following every desire of mind is already mentally fulfilled.
Stop
When
there,
you-
Jim. Why don't you explain what that means?
Well, it's like you were just saying, Ken, and they were saying in the writings. The concept, the idea is always at source. Always, any concept, any idea. All you have to do is from that source latch onto it, make it yours, and then manifest it through action. It is that simple, and so they're simply saying, why see it on a small scale when it's better to know it and see it manifested on a majestic scale. Then you are, just like you just said, a co-creator with creator.
Okay,
I'll give you an
Mr.
example,
Bonzo,
Ken,
what-
if I may,
Yeah.
just to add to what Jim was saying there. A couple months ago, I was able to watch a special on the building of the Statue of Liberty, and then the artist who conceived it, and all the steps that were necessary to get that concept of that lady holding that torch and that flame, and to get it to the point to where it was actually built there in New York, and to complete it. And the costs and the number of people and the setbacks and the so on. It just, for me, it was a prime example of these principles, because the guy could have quit. He could have quit at any time and just threw in the towel, right? Said, oh, the hell with it. There's too many obstructions here. We can't get funding. We got this. We can't get the copper, and so on. But he didn't quit. And he held on to that idea until it was absolutely complete. And it took years. So I'm just saying that, when in our discussions, it's just like it happens right away. But that is an actual example of, here this guy had a majestic image of this beautiful piece of architecture. And he hung in there, and he made all the contacts and the connections, and he did all the work to manifest it. And that's what's required. So whether it's you driving a nail in a board, or this guy building and bringing the Statue of Liberty to fruition, but the principles are the same. It all starts with mind and your desire to manifest.
So desire in mind already being manifested is sort of like idea, right? That's what you talk about when you go antiquing and you see something, and your desire of mind is to find an idea that resonates with you, to put something to Avalon or something in your home, or to go teaking, and you'll walk around, you might not get anything for hours, and then boom, you bump into something, and that which you bump into resonates with the desire of your mind that is already mentally been fulfilled. It's just bumping into it to recognize, that's it. It's that aha moment is when you realize your desire has been mentally fulfilled.
And then, and once you actually see that manifestation, and you see the process finish out, you go, man, it wasn't all that difficult. I saw a certain thing that I needed. It's all in my mind. And you're driving down the road, and God says, why don't you make that right-hand turn into such and such? Well, I wasn't planning on going there, but all right, I'll go in. And you park, you walk in, you go down 2 aisles, and you look, and you go, son of a gun. Hey, there it is. Thank you, guy. And then I didn't have to waste time looking all around the whole damn place. I already saw what I needed, got it, and got out of there. So, but yes, Ken, thanks for pointing that out.
All right, and Karen, why don't you finish up that paragraph on 669? It's just after mind is already mentally fulfilled. Finish it up there.
When you actually know this, you are equipped for any achievement, whatsoever, which is within universal law. Knowing this within your soul makes you able to see it fulfilled within your inner vision. Therefore, your body has started doing it. You will then start.
It said before your body has started doing it.
Okay, you will then start doing it once with the knowledge that you can complete it. Or the inner vision will teach you how to do it in the doing of it.
Go ahead. You want to share on that?
No.
Okay.
Well, I will.
All right.
I will. Because
Okay.
Mr. Pearson and I had a conversation earlier today in which that line, I can't tell you how many times Mrs. Russell used that line.
Nope.
That
No.
it's how to do it in the doing of it. So all you've got to do is, if you're not 100% sure, but once you start and you start doing it, it will come to you in the doing of it.
All right, you're right about that. And that happens to me all the time. You just got to get started, and then the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing shows up.
Yep.
And then it builds on itself. Yes, that's beautiful.
Okay, let's go to 671 and read the third paragraph down.
2, 3. Is that the bear with us?
Yes.
Jim, you want to do it? You've been kind of silent tonight.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be.
You could just wake up long enough to join us, Jim, and read this paragraph. We would appreciate it.
It's the wisdom in the room. It keeps me in awe. And some of the beautiful statements coming from the people that are listening in, too. Okay, so I'm reading the in blue, right?
Bear with us.
All the
Read
way
that
up.
whole paragraph right there and down through the blue. Yes.
Okay. Bear with us, therefore, for your own sake, when we tell you in great detail about such seemingly unimportant things as the vibration of a harp string, as every effect of motion in the universe has the same basic foundation in the divine Trinity as every other effect. It is important that you understand the principle of multiplied and divided motion lies between the simple vibration of the harp string, and which lives and dies thousands of times in 1 second, as that you know about the same principle in a nebulae, which has but one life in hundreds of billions of years. That's it. That's the alpha and omega. That's, it's the beginning and the end of things. It's the beauty of the universe. God sets this stage that counts in thousands and 10,000s, 100,000s, and millions of years, and on that stage we come in and perform the play of life. It's wonderful. It's magnificent.
Yep.
Yes.
The principle of a harp string is the same principle as the Milky Way galaxy that may breathe every 150 billion years. It's the same thing as the oscillation of a harp string that may go 1,000 times for every 10th of a second. So, and that's what, and every one of those buildings is a body. Every one of those strokes of that harp string of that nebula is a body. It's just a time duration and that's different, but the principle remains the same. That's why this message is not as complicated as it seemingly seems like it is, and why we keep simplifying it. It keeps getting simplified to a child's seesaw, to a harp string, and the building of that harp string. Go ahead and finish that paragraph there below that, dear Jim, would you? We compare sound vibration with life and death.
We compare sound vibration with life and death to point out the sameness of principle which lies back of every effect of motion, and of the law which governs the making of the material bodies from conceived thought bodies, and of the principle of desire which is already fulfilled at that moment, of your concentration upon desire, and the sequential fulfillment by the action of giving your desire a material body. We will continue to amplify the above by still continuing to use the example of the desire to give a material body to the musical tone of a silent harp string.
All right, Jim.
I saw it when raising children. I saw the delight that they could have in coloring their first picture, which to them was beauty and perfection. Even in our eyes, it was not. But they reveled in what they were doing. And I think that's what we lose along the way. We lose that sense of joy and excitement in the doing of things, and we're too judgmental on ourselves and others.
All right, let's read number 1 there. John, you want to read number 1 there?
I will be glad to. Number 1, First comes desire of mind. Desire is timeless. Desire of mind to create comes like a flash of inspired light from knowing mind. Desire to create always means a desire to give out from the centering soul. Desire to create is spiritual, and a spiritual creation always gives out from a centering point of omniscient, omnipotent light. Do not confuse the spiritual desire to create bodies with the physical desire to take something to continue the growth. I'm sorry there, wait a minute. Yeah, of a creating body. Desire of the senses for the survival of sensed bodies is the process of lawfully receiving that which is given or of unlawfully taking of it for self alone. So, desire, it's a spiritual thing, right? Desire is a what is the term I'm looking for here? It is a quality. Desire is a quality of mind. And the physical apparatus, the tool that God uses to manifest the body that you're designing is gravity. And I wanted to interject that in there because in these steps of manifesting from the spiritual, from the undivided, the invisible to the visible, there is a sequence. And God has tools just like we got tools. So he has tools to build his universe, and we got tools to build our universe. But gravity
Desire
is
controls gravity. But that's why when we look at our lives, whatever your life is today is what you've desired it to be. If you want a greater life, then your desires need to be greater. And if you want a lesser life, then lessen your desires. That's a desire controls gravity. So when I always think about in relationships, if I get in a relationship with somebody and it's not a harmonious relationship or it goes the wrong way, I don't look at them of what's wrong with them. I want to look at myself and wonder what is it about me that attracts situation into my life. Instead of looking at someone and saying, oh, they're this or they're that, and they did this wrong and did that wrong. If I'm not in harmony with someone, the question I then have is, how did that get into my life? How did I attract that into my life? If that's not harmonious or copacetic to what I would want in my life, and that's where the answer lies for me of what my next steps might be or what I can do to get back to that state of center, that state of equilibrium where desire, now I can create with desire, conceive with desire. And remember, it's desire what you will, and it shall stand before you, but will not come to thee unaided without reaching out for it with thy strong arms. So it's a combination of the two. But as we were talking about earlier, if your desire is nebulous and it hasn't become real refined, you take an action on it, you're going to have a nebulous, unrefined action. That's why when they talk about if you want to learn how to play the piano, if you can strike the first note, the second note will come to you after you hit the first note, but you must hit that first note. And you must hit it with the desire of passion in order to be reciprocated. The second note, the desire to sequentially have that second note in harmony, because we live in a harmonious universe of equal two-way universe of equal and opposite sequential reaction actions. So everything that's happening is unhappening. So that means it's a zero stillness universe. Everything we're looking for is in that stillness within us. All idea exists within us in that stillness that centers each and every one of us. Not only all idea, omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent. The three omnis are centering each and every one of us. Getting in touch with those omnis in this three-dimensional world is what this journey is about and what they're helping us to take us through here. So,
Mr. Ken,
wait, I'm going to say
if I
Deb.
may,
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say we could save the audience a lot of time and words because what you were trying to describe, I could help you in 2 words.
Roger
It's
that.
called being scatterbrained. You can't keep 2 thoughts going at all. You're just all over the place. You got to focus, right?
Yeah.
And until you do, then that's what's going to happen. You're going to jump all over the damn place. But
All right, let's.
there's children.
You guys,
Go
Deborah
ahead,
has.
Karen, why
No.
don't you go to number 2?
Wait. We have a comment, and it's a good one. So I'm gonna read it. Gravity equals love. We cannot create as God without love. I think that's what you guys are saying. She said she did
I'll go
really
with
quick.
that. Why don't you read number 2, Karen, if you'd like?
All right, I like it. It's short. Desire of mind to conceive an idea of mind is immediately fulfilled, for every separate idea is part of God's one whole idea. Therefore, you know that your desire is already fulfilled in a mental concept, because the whole idea of which your idea is part is already in existence in the undivided universe of mind.
Man,
does
that's
that
powerful
mean?
right there, Ken. That's
Yeah.
some powerful stuff.
So what does that mean, Karen?
What that means is whatever you desire.
John's changed his name to Karen. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm
Karen.
sorry. I thought you said John.
No,
That's
the
okay.
difference between Karen and John is pretty distinct, pal.
No,
I will yield. I will yield to my beautiful Karen counterpart.
All right, go on, Karen.
I just think it's already there in the mind of God. So go for it.
Yes. So therefore, go and create with confidence and joy.
Yeah.
That whatever those
I
desires
want
are.
to illustrate something here that's important. I think it's real important. Is to remember, desire of mine is immediately fulfilled, but you may not be immediately aware of it. It may unfold as you. But what we're learning is your desire has been fulfilled. The sequence and the unfolding of that desire is a process of thinking, concentrating, and decentrating on that idea. So, like if I desire a new vehicle, I don't know how I'm going to get it. I'm not going to sit there and think about money. I'm going to ask God, how can I fulfill that desire? And now I know the answer's there. And my moment is when I go antiquing and I see idea and I go, that's how this can happen. And that's what means by all we want is already ours. It's always been ours, but we must go look for it. We must seek it. And that desire will be answered sometimes sequentially, and sometimes it's in that moment that you're in, but you've already gotten whatever you desire to know. You already know. It may take you a minute to put those parts together where you have a full image. So don't be thinking, I just desire this and it's there. It is, but it takes practice learning how to take desire apart and allowing desire to manifest as concept in the thinking, concentrated, decentrated process of projecting idea.
You guys, we have about 7 more pages and about 7 more minutes. Do you guys want to go through this stuff pretty quick?
No, we're okay. We're just going to keep moving forward until we get done.
Okay. Are we number 3 then?
Nope. Actually, we're going to go to number 4. Who'd like to read that?
The moment you extend what you know to your divided light, which think what you know into thought form, you begin to work of building a body for your desire. Remember, always God works with you and not for you. You are a unit of creation. Your soul is God's soul. Your hands are God's hands. Keep going. To the extent of your awareness of this fact, you are either manifesting God by being a universal man and a universal soul, or just manifesting your own sensed body. Whichever you are shown in your work, the thought image body you create in your imaging have in them your immortality and your immortality. Well, I mix those up, but that's okay.
So whichever you are shows in your work, whether you're universal or your sense, whichever one of those you are will show in your work. Yes, John.
I'll give you an example of this. So, I'm a big classical fan, and I study the masters and I study classical music. But all classical music is not beautiful. There are people that never should have wrote music. Okay, so that's why the masters will live forever, because their music was inspired by God. All right. And that inspiration was lovingly created, whereas the guy, he wasn't listening. He's just going off of whatever was around him. So I just wanted to try to make that clarification. I'm not trying to demean that individual for the work and effort, but I'm just saying that not all music is beautiful.
Gotcha. Now that we got that out of the way,
Right.
let's go down to 673, just below number 5. The again we say. Who would like to read that?
Oh, you're skipping 5? Okay.
Yeah, just again we say, starting right there. Yes.
Jim, you want to go?
Sure. Again, we say your desire has already been fulfilled, for that which you have desired already stands before you. God has created it for you by creating the fulfillment, which is his own body.
The firmament, Jim. Firmament.
Pardon me, firmament, thank you. It is already existent, awaiting you. But you must reach forth and receive that which he has given you to fulfill your desire. For thy desire shall not come thy way unaided by thy own strong arms, is stated in the message of the divine Iliad and by Ken earlier. So yes, absolutely. It's nice to know that it is already done at source, but we have the opportunity to make it ours, and that's amazing. We have the opportunity to
the process will unfold in you. Good, Jim.
If your desire to do so is strong enough.
Yep.
Sometimes we have to get out of our own way, James.
Yes. All right, 674. 1, 2, third paragraph. Who would like to read that?
All right, I'll take that one, Ken.
Okay.
All right. Just as you cannot polarize one end of a magnet without polarizing the other end simultaneously, you cannot perform any action which divides the undivided without creating both the action and its reaction simultaneously. To walk, you must divide your balance. To lose it, to find it, for again losing it. But that which you have lost is always awaiting you, for you created both action and reaction simultaneously. That which you have lost is already thine. And we'll quote from the Iliad here. All down the ages it has been thine without thy knowing, even though thou hast but just asked for it.
Beautiful.
I think the next.
Let me read further on down there, Ken.
Yeah, go to if you look.
It says, you may walk to the ends of the earth with God. Without him, you can do nothing. He will not do it for you without you. That is what we meant by working knowingly with God. He has prepared the way for you. He has made the path for you up your own mountain. But you must walk with him for the fulfillment of your desire to reach your mountaintop. Isn't that beautiful in that previous where God, he's not going to do it for you, right? I mean, and that's a great concept to drive home here. Is that look?
You know what, Johnny, do me a favor. Read from that point right there where it says, "If you look," and then answer from there, would you?
All right, I'll be glad to. If you look to the top of the mountain which you desire to climb. Wait a minute, I lost my. Where am I here?
You were right. That was right.
Wait a minute. Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. I lost my spot. If you look to the top of the mountain, which you desire to climb, you may have much fear and doubt about surmounting it, but you do not fear to take the first step. And many steps taken without fear will take you gloriously to the very top of your own high mountain.
Damn.
So there again, it is. It's just, man, just get started. Do something, man. Right?
Yeah, man. Isn't that beautiful? That's just beautiful, man. And so, the mountain looks huge, but if you think about, can I take one step up towards that mountain? That doesn't seem so insurmountable. And that's almost like that simple slogan in recovery: one day at a time, one moment at a time. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You simplify it. You don't complicate it. When you add complexity, you create diversity and distraction. When you stay in simplicity, the action's as simple as the right action to take is always right there in front of you, and you know what it is. When you complicate, you get confused, just like John said. What were the two words? Rattle brain?
Scattered brain.
Scatterbrain. Scatterbrain.
I think we've got a comment here. Rita says it kind of very interestingly. It's like walking into a restaurant. You can order whatever you want, but the chef won't prepare it for you, prepare your meal until you order it.
That's a very good point.
Very
Right
good
on the
example.
right on spot, right there. Yep.
So let's
you,
go
Rita.
to 675 and read number 7. Who'd like to read that?
You do.
Oh,
That's
no,
you, Ken.
I'm busy facilitating. I'm doing
Number
Kimberly's
7.
role right now. Damn it.
I
People,
was
listen to
going
me.
for it.
Come on, everybody. Get it together. God.
Now you are ready to fulfill the last step of your desire. That is that of building a body of many sounds from your heart. Again, we repeat the fact that that desire is already fulfilled, for you know the sounds of the rhythmic tones that are within the silence of those strings. You not only know them, but can imagine them as thought bodies, which you can hear in your imaginings with inner ears. In other words, you know that the sounds are there in the silence of the undivided, awaiting your action to born their bodies to life. Until you act to give your idea a material body, it will still be existent as undivided idea, but will not be expressed in the divided universe of moving bodies.
Yeah.
And the,
Yep,
Jim,
like my grandma used to say. She said, Johnny, you got to get off your ass and do something, because until you do, nothing's going to get done. So I thought I would just bring that down to the very basics of life.
That's simple. You could also go with that great sage Larry the Cable Guy. Get her done.
That's right.
there you go. There you go. All right, let's
How
wrap
about Miss
up on this
Elkins?
last paragraph here, guys. On
No, I
670.
like what Deborah said. This is how we create heaven on earth, and I totally agree with her.
Amen.
That is correct.
Yep.
All right,
Amen
Karen,
to that, Deborah.
why don't you wrap up this last paragraph here, and we'll end on this one.
On this
Who's
one,
you?
you have
Karen.
no. That's this one. This Karen.
There's only one here. Yep.
You have no limits until you set them. Much meditation on the above thoughts will lead you to great conclusion. The fact that God will immediately grant your desires seems unbelievable, and it is unbelievable for those who misunderstand his way of working with you. If you reinterpret it to mean that whatever you desire will come to you full grown and without effort on your part, then you're not understanding how it is to work with God, with you and not for you. If you do not understand his manner of working with you step by step, then you must take the first step with him in order to be given the power to take the next step. He who desires has built a body from the one harp string and become a master harpist if his desires are of the measure, and then become a leader of the symphony or a master composer if he desires and his knowing are sufficiently intense. If you have any limits whatsoever,
Limitations
whatsoever, you have yourself set them upon whatever you have. I can't even say it. Jim, take over. I'm getting tired.
What's up? Here, I'll finish up. Whatsoever you have yourself set them for yourself. The universe is infinitely extended, and you are the universe. Right? We're all the center of the universe. The center of the universe is within each and every one of us, centering us.
Isn't it amazing, Ken, how that one, just those couple words hidden right there at the end of that paragraph, that you are the universe. I mean, you don't hear that sentence very often, do you?
Hey, guys, I have a question. This one actually was really interesting to me. What is this loop that he's talking about? It's the pinwheel, but I just had it. It's this, electrical engineers call them loops of force. What's a loop of force?
Yeah, let's get into that next week. We'll get a little bit deep on that, but that's a great question, Karen, that I hope you bring up next week, please. And we'll clean that up because I think it's a great question to answer. And so maybe we'll be able to, we've only got like 2 pages left. So I'm hoping next week we can wrap them up because I think they bring it home real well. Yes, John.
I wanted to give credence to Mr. Porter how he kind of has difficulty with narcissists. And the reason for that difficulty is they understand that last sentence right there.
Which is
that they are the center, but they're the center of their own universe.
yeah, that's true.
All right, boy, that was a knee slapper, John. Jeez, man, I don't know what I'm gonna write that one down for later.
Well, I think it went over your head, Ken. It just went over your head.
No,
It'll
I
come
get
to
it.
you.
You're saying they're the center of their universe, not the center of the universe.
Okay, well
We
Bonnie's
are
got
all
it.
talking about being the center.
I think Bonnie's closed it up for us. Lordy, I'm in trouble. I've always told my children they were not the center of the universe.
Oh my God,
Bonnie.
screwed up.
Oh my
Now
God.
she knows why your kids
It'll
are
take
screwed up.
years to undo that.
Bonnie, touche.
There you go. There you go.
Cute,
There's a
Bonnie. That's
touche.
cute.
That is a touche moment.
Oh,
All right, you guys, that's it. You guys want to thank everybody. If you can put any donations in for this program, it really helps. We have costs every month. We're self-supporting through our own contributions. So if you can put any donations in, it would be very much appreciated. It goes a long way to keep this message alive and going. And again, we are self-supporting through our own contributions. So nobody's funding this, and there are costs involved. So any help you can give would be very much appreciated. I hope that people have their literature. It's so beneficial to have this home study course by your side. If for some reason you can't get it and it's just not possible, reach out to any one of us. You can put it in the chat and we'll make sure that we get you a copy, somehow get you a copy, and if that's your desire, we will help you fulfill that desire. Okay. And we appreciate everybody being here. Thank you guys. And you have a wonderful evening. And next week though, I want to talk about those loops of force, Karen. So please remember to bring that up. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. That was a good one. Actually, it's a really great, it's worth talking about for a minute. So that's why I wanted to get a little bit of air. All right, guys. That's it. Thank you guys. Everybody have a
Alrighty.
great night.